Hello, welcome to Medical Terminology. Today we are going to cover the anatomy of medical terms. To begin with, we're going to start by going over roots and combining forms. Elements of a medical term consist of roots, prefix, suffix, combining vowel, and combining form. They don't all always have all of these components, but they will always have a word root since that is the core meaning of the word. Now, a prefix is at the beginning of some words. Not all medical terms have a prefix, just like not all medical terms will have a suffix, which is at the ending of a word. Now, combining vowel is used to turn a root into a combining form. Combining form is needed under certain circumstances, which we will get into shortly. First, we're going to talk about the word root, the constant, unchanging foundation that provides its meaning. It's usually of Greek or Latin origin, and nearly all medical terms have one or more word roots. Words with more than one word root are compound terms. You don't need to remember this right now. I'm just kind of laying a foundation for future use. And also, word roots can appear anywhere in the term, meaning if we don't have a prefix, sometimes your word root might be at the beginning, and if we don't have a suffix, sometimes your word root is at the end. Combining vowel. On its own, it has no meaning. It joins word elements to create medical terms. It also makes the word easier to pronounce. O is the most common combining vowel. However, vowels A, I, and U are used less frequently, but you will probably standardly see an O or an I. All right, combining forms of a medical term. A root with a combining vowel added to it is called combining form. In the example entero, the root is enter and the O is the combining vowel. And the slash is used to separate the root from the combining vowel. So this is how we would break down that combining form. Many medical terms contain more than one word root. When two roots occur together, they are always joined by a combining vowel. An example of this would be hemopneumothorax. Hem meaning blood, pneum meaning air or lung, and thorax meaning chest. They are all joined together with a combining vowel. Identify the elements of the word gastroenterology. So normally we would start with the suffix whenever we're breaking down a word. But in this case, we're going to break it down so you can see where they separate and come together. So in this case, we have combining form gastro. The O is the combining vowel. And then enter is another root with a combining vowel of O. So we have entero. Logi is the study of, that's our suffix, so that would go on to the end of entero. Alright, now in gynecologist, gynec is the root, O is the combining vowel, logist is the suffix. And in cardiology, we have cardi with the combining vowel O to give us cardio, which attaches to logi, giving us cardiology. Next, we'll cover suffixes. Added to the end of a medical term, it can be attached to a word root or combining form. Use of combining vowel with a suffix. If a suffix starts with a vowel, then no combining vowel is needed. For example, hematoma. The suffix begins with a vowel, so no combining vowel is needed. If a suffix begins with a consonant, a combining vowel is needed. For example, hematologist, hemat is the root, logis is the suffix. To make a complete word, we need the combining vowel O between the root and the suffix. Occasionally a word can have two suffixes, but this is rare. One strategy to help you understand medical terms is to divide suffixes into different types, such as diagnostic, surgical, pathological, and adjectives and nouns. Now, diagnostic suffixes produce a medical term that is a diagnosis or procedure or test to identify the nature of an illness. Surgical suffixes produce medical terms that describe the invasive surgical procedure performed on the body. Pathological suffixes produce a medical term that describes a symptom or a sign of disease process. There are 28 adjective suffixes that mean pertaining to. You will see many of these. For nouns, Several suffixes do not fall under any of the above classifications, but maintain the root or combining form as a noun. Right? Diagnostic suffixes. In this example, hematoma means a collection of blood in a tissue. So hemat is the word root meaning blood. Oma is the suffix meaning tumor or mass. And then we have hematuria. That is blood in the urine. So hemat again means blood. And then urea is the suffix meaning urine. In these examples, we have appendectomy and lithotripsy. Appendectomy is the surgical removal of the appendix. So append is the word root meaning appendix, and ectomy is a suffix for surgical removal. In lithotripsy, it means the crushing of a stone or calculus. Litho is the word root meaning stone or calculus, and tripsy is the suffix meaning crushing. In these two terms, cystitis and cyanosis, cystitis means inflammation of the urinary bladder. Cyst is the word root meaning bladder. Note, cyst can also mean a cyst or a sac. Itis is the suffix meaning inflammation. So we have the inflammation of the urinary bladder. Cyanosis means dark blue coloration of blood due to lack of oxygen. So cyan is the word root meaning dark blue, and osis is the suffix meaning abnormal condition. I do want to make one more note on osis. If it is used with a blood word part, such as leukocytosis, osis in this case would mean an abnormal increase. Again, you're not expected to remember this now. I just want to lay that foundation. All right. As you learn new medical terms in each body system within the chapters of this book, you will see that there are 28 different suffixes that mean pertaining to. A couple examples, or a few examples, are ac, such as in cardiac, pertaining to the heart. Airy, as in pulmonary, pertaining to the lungs. IOR, ear, like posterior or posterior, pertaining to the back of the body. Noun suffixes. As you'll remember, there's a lot of different suffixes that mean pertaining to. So in this specific case, we have iatry in psychiatry, which is the treatment of that medical specialty. So that's pertaining to the one who specializes. Ishin, as in pediatrician, is the expert who is the specialist, so that is pertaining to that specialist. Ickle, as in ossicle, which means small or minute, means pertaining to something small or minute. All right, prefixes. Added directly to the word root or combining form, changes the meaning of the medical term. No use for a combining vowel. Please, please, please remember that. Prefixes never get a combining vowel. Ever. Never, ever. And remember, a suffix might determine whether we use a combining vowel or not, but the suffix itself does not get that combining vowel. The only word part that gets a combining vowel would be the word root, if it's warranted. So, again, to cover over prefixes, they are found at the beginning of a medical term. A prefix never requires the use of a combining vowel again. And, for example, pericardium and epicardium do not require the use of a combining vowel. A prefix is followed by a word root. All right, classifications of prefixes. So they can mean a position or a number and measurement or a direction. And we're going to take a look at a bit of those. So in this case, we have epidermis, which is the top layer of the skin. Epi is the prefix meaning upon, over, above. Dermis is the word root for skin. Now we're going to look at another area or location. Hypodermis means tissue layer below the top layer of the skin. So hypo is the prefix meaning below. Dermis is the word root for the meaning skin. Numbers and measurements. We have multipara and primipara. Multipara means a woman who has given birth at least twice. At least twice. Multi means many. So it's different from one. Which we have in primipara, which means a woman who has given birth for the first time. So primi is the prefix meaning stomach, and the word root meaning to bring forth would be para. Now we have antivert, which means to tilt forward. Anti is the prefix meaning above, over, or upon. Vert is the word root meaning turned. Then we have synapses. It's a junction between two nerve cells. So syn, S-Y-N, is the prefix meaning coming together. It's not separate, but coming together. And then we have apse, which is the word root meaning neurons. Next, we are going to look at the word hypogastric. Hypo is a prefix meaning below. No combining vowel is required here, even though gaster is our word root. Remember, hypo is our prefix. We don't do a combining vowel with prefix. So hypo goes directly onto gaster. And then we have ic, which we don't need a combining vowel for again because our suffix pertaining to starts with a vowel. So it would just attach right onto it. All right, unique medical words. Some medical terms taken directly from Latin or Greek words or from Old English terms do not break down into word elements. Several of them are used in general language outside of medicine. So we have one, for example, a Greek word toxin meaning poison. That one does not break down. Latin medical meaning to heal, that does not break down. Old English word record meaning to remember, does not break down. There are many words in the medical language that are very similar to each other in both their spelling and pronunciation. Precision in both written and verbal communication with great attention given to detail is essential for a health professional. Examples here would be ilium with an I and ilium with an E. So ilium with an I is a bone in the pelvis, whereas ilium with an E is a segment of the small intestine. Now, a way I like to remember these is the ilium with the E has to do with you eating, so that's why that has to do with your small intestine, versus the other ilium, which is part of your bones. Then we have malleus versus malleus, and that is the malleus is a small bone in the middle ear. Now, malleolus is a bone protuberance at the ankle. So there are differences. Another example I want to give you is the different word parts myo, myel, and myco. They all start with my, but they all have very different meanings. So myo means muscle. Myel is spinal cord or spine or bone marrow, and then we have myco, which means fungus. So as you can see, they all three have very different meanings. All right, that is all for today. Thank you so much for joining me.